What if Deadpool fought against zombies? You know, when Walking Dead was wildly popular, let's come up with a story where Deadpool fights the zombies, and we're gonna call it Walking Deadpool. That must have been the meeting that Marvel had, because today we're gonna cover the Walking Deadpool storyline.
Deadpool wakes up groggy at a table in a diner. He looks around confused, and he realizes that he just woke up from a food coma. But something is odd about this diner. Plates are smashed, food is spilled, and there's no one here. Hello? Garçon? Check, please. Realizing no one's here, he heads over to the door to see a note. Dear Mr. Deadpool, you have been a loyal and reliable customer, although your tipping does leave something to be desired. We could not wake you from your slumber as we fled, but we did lock the doors. Hopefully, that will keep you safe. Safe? Safe from what? Deadpool thinks as he heads out into the streets to see nothing. No one, no noise, no traffic, just a deserted city. Looking down, he sees a newspaper and it reads, The Dead Walk. This has to be a prank. The world just doesn't end. He thinks to himself as he wanders through the streets looking for anyone, shouting, Hello! And then he walks some more and he shouts, Hello! And then he walks some more. All right, that got old fast. What's the point in being the merc with the mouth if there's no one around to be annoyed by you? And that's when he does see someone shambling towards him. What are you doing? They say to him, and they get closer. Shouldn't be here. And they get closer. Can't stop myself, and they leap in to bite Deadpool. He kicks them off and he chops off their head, and then he shoots them as they're trying to tell him, don't use the gun, they'll hear. But Deadpool says, who will hear? There's nobody here. But he spoke too soon, as behind him are about 100 of the shambling zombies, all talking. He chops off their heads, and he shoots as many of them as he can, shouting, why are you all talking? Just shut up already. I thought you guys had limited verbal skills, like brains, brains. And on that note, he kills even more of them, fighting as many as he can possibly fight, until he finally finds himself overwhelmed and running away. But no matter where he runs to, there's just another batch of zombies waiting for him. That is until someone shouts for him to duck and they open fire, shooting up every zombie around him. Deadpool looks up from the pile of bodies to see a truck with people in it. He runs over and he jumps in the back as quickly as he can as they speed away. They are some of the last survivors. 2 children, 1 healthy man named Radcliffe, 1 injured man who's obviously been bitten by a zombie but no one wants to admit it, and an old woman. And they tell Deadpool that he's the last superhero on the planet. So he asks them why these zombies are talking, and Radcliffe explains that the zombies all have a little bit of their original consciousness left, but they're only there for the ride and they can't control the bodies. They drive around for a little bit, getting to know each other until Deadpool sees a destroyed police barricade, and he decides to hop out to go ahead and see if there's any survivors over there. He's the last superhero alive, shouldn't he be checking for survivors? The kids and Radcliffe join him in the hunt for survivors, but all they find is more zombies. And when they return to the truck, they find the old woman is being eaten by what was the injured man and what is now a zombie eating the old woman. Deadpool, Radcliffe, and the kids all take the truck and they start looking for a place that they can hold up and be safe, because the city just isn't an option. As they pass the mall, Deadpool thought it was a stupid idea because he already hated all those mall walkers. The farmhouse? Nope, he's done with those. A shack in the woods? He hates poison ivy. The amusement park would have been a great idea, except that they didn't have enough cotton candy and funnel cakes to let him be happy there. The pub also seemed reasonable, but he just stole the beer and ran. The prison was just a little too institutional for him. And after 2 months of traveling, they finally came across a nice place where they can set up a campfire, so they can split up their last granola bar 4 ways. Deadpool let the kids have his half, and he drifted off to sleep that night, only to be woken up by Radcliffe looking for the kids. They went missing in the evening and he's worried about them. So Deadpool and Radcliffe wandered around for a bit looking for some kind of an answer, with Deadpool just kind of wondering if the kids went off for a pee break of the damned. And after looking around for a bit, they ended up hearing the kids in the distance. The kids thought they saw a rabbit, and they wanted to go get breakfast for Mr. Deadpool and Mr. Radcliffe. But when they went for the rabbit, they tripped, and that's when they got them. What do you mean, got you? Deadpool asks, but it's too late as the zombified children jump on Radcliffe, tearing out his throat. Deadpool turns to them all sad. Aw, kids, I'm so sorry. Wait, are you eating with your mouths open? You ain't the kids I knew. They had manners! And he jumped in, getting ready to cut their heads off and put them out of their misery. Kids, I don't know if you can hear me, but I need you to know With the whole world falling down around us, you gave me hope. For a little while there, you were like my family. And then he left, with a bite in his arm and a sadness in his heart. Alone once again, Deadpool heads over into Virginia, and he begins to climb the mountains, until eventually he comes across a place where survivors have actually found a safe place to settle down. After murdering a bunch of old lady nutjobs that wanted to murder the town, and then carrying their severed heads to the entrance of Safe Haven, and then explaining why the last superhero was carrying a bunch of severed heads to their front gates, they welcomed him into the town. He's the last superhero, and he was a bit of a novelty to them. But after the initial welcome, some of the children informed him that there's another superhero here, and they know where he stashed his uniform. So Deadpool follows them to the case and he opens it up. But he doesn't see the uniform of a superhero. He sees the uniform of an AIM scientist. He takes his sword and he looks for the sleeping AIM scientist so he can press it against his neck. No sudden moves, bozo. Otherwise, I might be forced to do something decapitationary. You're Deadpool. I heard you were in the town. Yep, your fellow neighbors were nice enough to take me in, and I'm being nice enough to find an AIM scientist hiding in their midst. I just wanted a fresh start. I don't want to do any of the mad scientist stuff anymore. Fresh start, huh? Well, just don't let me catch any whiffs of you cooking up any death machines or anything, and I guess we'll be fine. Don't worry, I wouldn't dare go back to the mad science. Not after what I did. What do you mean? I started the zombie apocalypse. I was on the team that was researching healing factors and trying to make a cure. But this is what happened. We used your blood, Deadpool. Every fight where you left samples behind, we grabbed it and we made it into this virus. Shocked, Deadpool walks out of the room holding the spot where his arm was bitten, and he lays down to sleep for the night, saying to himself, "Not my fault. I didn't do it. This can't be because of me." And slowly, but surely, he finally began to change. It only looked like his healing factor had fixed the bite, but now it looked like he was changing into one of them, one of the zombies. He gets up and at first he thinks he's sleepwalking, but very quickly he realizes that this is something else. He calls out for his own body to stop as he begins to feast on everyone around him. It doesn't make sense. His healing factor should be preventing this, but he can't stop it. And then he calls out to everyone in the town, telling them to run. He can't control himself. But no matter how many times he apologizes, he feasts on the townspeople. Until finally, his healing factor does kick in and it turns him back to normal. But he's already killed everyone in the town, and he quickly realizes that it wasn't a dream, he actually did it. So he has a new plan, one last-ditch effort to atone for everything that he's done, and he walks over to the AIM scientist that he's also turned, cuts off his head, and he tells them that they're going to make their way across the entire destroyed world, with Deadpool cracking solo head jokes about 50 times before they can make their way to the actual lab where they made this zombie virus from his healing factor. He's going to cure this. He's going to save the world by finishing the cure that the scientists should have done. As they go inside, Deadpool dodges as many of the zombies as he can as he taunts them. Shamble, shamble, as clumsy as you can, but you can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man. But he eventually makes his way into the final room, the one where they keep all of the Deadpool juice, with all of those zombies that he's avoided following him in. He sees no other option but to make a final stand by drinking all of the Deadpool juice to supercharge his healing factor and try to fight it out. And that's when things got weird. Every time a zombie bit him, they didn't feel hungry anymore. They felt like Deadpool. No, they actually became Deadpool. All of the zombies then bit each other and became more Deadpools, and more Deadpools were born. And the real Deadpool controlled them all. He became a zombie god. No more humans, no more zombies remained. Just Deadpool. Our story begins with Deadpool getting a bat to his head. He falls back into the grass yelling, Hey, who, what, why? And the girl swings at the ground again, trying to bludgeon him in the head. He rolls out of the way and calls out, I surrender, all right? Truce, white flag, soiled shorts, just chill. She walks over and asks him, why aren't you trying to kill me? I don't know, should I? So the girl walks away and wishes Deadpool luck. You're going to leave me here all by my lonesome, Deadpool says? You were alone when I found you. But now, my mind's been expanded by the idea that I don't have to be unaccompanied. So the two of them head off and into adventure. The girl's name is Liz as she asks Deadpool how much he remembers from before. He has a weird bit of amnesia. He can remember bits and pieces, but nothing solid. And when Liz finds herself being attacked by zombies, Deadpool does remember. He's not a pacifist, and he begins hacking and slashing the zombies up. When Liz gets overwhelmed, she begins to make a break for it, and a zombie grabs her by the hand. So Deadpool cuts off that hand. Unhand her! You see what I did there? Unhand her! Then as they run, another zombie jumps on him, and he cracks it with his bat and declares, "Home run!" But things get a little bit more interesting when the rest of the Deadpools show up. Our Deadpool looks at the band of them and happily exclaims, "It's me! A bunch of me! Hey guys, you might not be aware of this, but this place is crawling with a bunch of," and boom! One of the Deadpools cuts off our main Deadpool's hand. Liz, are these the guys you were talking about?" Deadpool says, looking at his stump. "You think?" "Okay, well then, gentlemen, meet Liz," Deadpool says, and Liz begins swinging her Thunderdome-style bat, taking out the Deadpools. Deadpool and Liz begin running from the evil Deadpools until the zombies come back, and they begin to swarm over the Deadpools and they begin to eat them, leaving our heroes to live another day. As they walk off, Deadpool asks, "What the heck was that?" And Liz explains. There was a zombie outbreak and all of the heroes were lost until one hero remained. He found a cure for the zombie mess and he injected himself with it, allowing the zombies to eat him in hopes that he would spread the cure. He thought this would work, but this turned the zombies into the hero. The zombies became Deadpools. This became known as the Deadpool Plague, ruining the entire world worse than any zombie plague could have. The Deadpools capture survivors and they bring them for processing, which is a nice way to say that they get them turned into a zombie and then into a Deadpool to add to the army of Deadpools. Liz's family has been kidnapped by these Deadpools, and they're on a train that Liz has been tracking, which brings us to her plan. Bomb this train and save her family, and then get them the heck out of there. But Deadpool has a better idea, because her idea might harm those survivors on the train. Jumping on board, he begins cutting the evil Deadpools up piece by piece. To begin with, he cuts one through the skull, and then he throws another one right off the train, as the other one shouts, "You suck!" He then jumps two more evil Deadpools having a card game by slicing them up, and he cuts off another one's head before throwing him off the train. Since they're so easy to kill, Deadpool begins to wonder why they're acting a little off. They're not acting like Deadpool. And Liz's idea is that maybe their IQs don't heal back like they should. They then cut through the zombie car and eventually make their way to the survivor's car, where Liz is finally reunited with her family, all except for her mother. Deadpool walks into the next room to find that the woman is being converted into a zombie, and she's half converted into a Deadpool. Even Deadpool has to say, "What the funk is this?" As Liz and her family get off the train so the Deadpool can figure out a way to stop all of this and kill each and every one of the Deadpools as zombies, she starts to wonder, what should she even call this guy? He was a Deadpool, but he was different. He was an outcast. He was the Deadpool outcast. But as the train explodes behind Liz and the survivors, Liz begins to realize the truth about him. He is the real Deadpool. As he comes walking back to her, packing all of the guns and the ammo that were on the train. The subtle approaches of the week. Deadpool, Liz, and the survivors all proceed to the Deadpool-free zone, and even Deadpool begins to realize that she has a friend in Deadpool. He in return smiled through his mask, and he gave her a little heart sign with his fingers. But before they can get to the Deadpool-free zone, they're interrupted by a bunch of other evil Deadpools on horseback. Deadpool knocks down the one on the rabbit hat, and he takes his horse. Then he begins to bring the fight to the rest of his evil brethren by cutting off some of their heads. But the one with crosses over his eyes shoots Deadpool through the chest, knocking him off his horse. And as his ride fled, he called out for his horse, "Sparkle Fairy Gundrop!" He begged for him to come back, telling him, "You'll never find a superhero brony like me," since, Doctor Strange probably died in the zombie apocalypse. Liz ran back trying to save Deadpool, but she couldn't get back in time. And one of the evil ones used the horse to stomp Deadpool's head in. He woke up screaming in a cage as his head healed back. "I had the worst nightmare. I dreamt that the Fearless Defenders was canceled right before my giant-sized sexy issue came out." But that's the least of his worries, Liz explains, because they're about to be hauled off to Deadpool City for processing. The sights are horrible, as Deadpool sees a barbershop quartet version of himself and an old-timey whorehouse version of himself. Liz looks at his troubled face. "Are you okay?" "I will be, because I'm not dying here, and neither are you, Liz." Deadpool then turns to the other prisoners. "You guys are probably gonna die though, so best of luck to you." One of the evil ones show up and is holding Liz's bat with a saw in it. So Deadpool creeps up on him and he pokes him in the eyes, grabbing the bat. "Stay behind me, I'm gonna cut us a path through these psychos." And the carnage begins again. With a smile on his face, Deadpool begins swinging his weapon, smashing the heads of people that look just like him in. Liz crawls out and finds a sword. So Deadpool looks at his bat and he looks at her sword. "Hey, I'll trade you." He then went over to the big boss general guy, killing him and taking his guns. Blood and guts went everywhere as Deadpool just enjoyed killing every bit of himself. And Liz noticed and it scared her just a little. While Deadpool asked why his machine gun sometimes goes baraka 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 and sometimes it goes butta butta butta. That's why he loves machine guns. As they kept killing, she began to wonder if that's the reason that he was cast out of the Deadpools to begin with. He's too unpredictable, too crazy even for them. But as they go to the bottom of the chapel, things begin to get even weirder as they ask Deadpool, "Which faction do you belong to, brother? The Kelly, the Dugan, the Simone, the Remender, the Way, the Bun?" Is there a path for people who have no idea what the hell's going on? Cause that's me. That's when the priests realize he isn't in the hive mind. He doesn't hear the voices. He is the exile. They insist that he remembered, and he finally does. Deadpool remembers what happened. The Deadpools were all different, but they were the same. The voices in his head were all different, and they were all also trying to fight for control. The only thing that they could all agree on was that they needed to multiply, make more Deadpools. But this Deadpool knew what they were doing was wrong, and he broke free. They were trying to call him back though, so he cut the voices out of his own head. He then realizes that he's holding an Uzi, and he shoots the priests in their heads. He and Liz then left, killing the rest of the Deadpools on their way out while they allowed the priests to heal. They steal a short bus and they begin running over Deadpools and washing them off with the anti-Deadpool defenses. You know, the windshield wipers, until they made their way out into the woods and far, far away from Deadpool City. As they leave, Deadpool begins to think of those he left behind, but it doesn't matter. They've gotten so far away that he can't even hear the voices anymore, and they are on the border of Deadpool-free America. On the other side, Liz can see her grandfather, and all of the survivors look at our Deadpool hero. They escort him to their base for his one final act of heroism, a device that when he steps into it will kill all of the Deadpools, including himself. Liz tries to stop him, but Deadpool knows that this is what he was meant to do. He was meant to make the world a better place like a Deadpool do. He steps in and in a big bang, he steps back out and begins to de-heal. He says goodbye and he begins to go back to the other Deadpools to rejoin the herd. He feels it's time to go back. He spews his new virus on them, de-healing them, degenerating all of the Deadpools until almost all of them are gone. Now only Liz remains to honor his memory as she goes out to wipe up the ones that ducked out of the virus. Deadpool killed 99% of the Deadpool plague, but there's still 1% that needs to die. And wearing his old outfit, she tells her grandfather, the world is only big enough for one Deadpool.
And there you have it, today's full story. I hope you guys enjoyed. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell right here on this channel, as it will only ever be receiving full stories from the other channel. And if you want to see the videos as they come out, make sure you go check out the Comicstorian main channel, where you get 5 days of videos a week. I'll see you next time.